do that so far?
I think it's pretty cool actually, because a lot of people doubted us. I know that personally I still need to step up myself. I haven't registered a sack yet myself, so that's my goal this week coming up against Utah State is to get my first one. But yeah, I've been impressed with the guys next to me and the way they've handled it.
Was that a big deal to you guys? Was that a big deal when we were questioning you and fans and everything? I mean, did that fire you guys up to try to prove people wrong?
I think it definitely gives you a little bit more motivation, but it's not a surprise to me. I know that we were up to the challenge, and I think if we just keep getting better every week, then we have a chance to do something special.
What is it about the group that's enabled you guys to be able to do that? A lot of guys like yourself, David Moa, stepping up into bigger roles, and then you just kind of hit the ground running. How have you been able to do that?
I think it's just everyone's been buying all into it. There's been no questioning what we need to do. You just accept that we have a challenge ahead of us, and you just buy into the coaching, and we try and execute the game plan as best as possible.
You see some of the other guys picking up sacks. I mean, is it motivating? I mean, does it make you a little hungry to get one yourself?
Yeah, I've been reeling a little bit the past 12 hours. I turned on the film and I didn't put on the field the performance that I wanted to. So to be honest with you, Tuesday couldn't come soon enough. I really want to get out there and get on the practice field and try and set things straight and try and work towards having a better week this week.
Maybe what are some of the things you want to pinpoint there?
I just think it's just production. It's just a case. It really is everything. I think I'm going to prepare this week better than I have any week previously. I really think it's time that I contributed more and put in a better performance for this team.
What's impressed you most about what David's been able to do next to you this year? And he's been able to cause a lot of havoc. He's smaller than most nose tackles, but here he is putting up one of the best starts they've had in a while.
It's no surprise to me at all. I knew David was going to be a great player from the moment he got here. David's he works hard and he puts in the extra effort and time it needs to be good at his position because like you said he is undersized, but that doesn't mean anything to him or us. He puts in the work and it shows up.
How does he use it to his advantage? It seems.
I think he's quick. He's quick. He's speedy. He has a smaller body, but he uses what he has and uses it well.
When you watch him or lines up next to you or whatever it might be, I mean, how relentless is he too? Because it seems like he was talking about after the game. It just feels like being that those second effort plays that he's trying to make or whatever are starting to kind of pay off for him.
Yeah, that's what it is, and I think the more you move up in football and the kind of position you play against, it's going to take more than the first kind of pass rush move to get to the QB. And I think David has made it quite a few second effort plays, and that's a pretty cool thing to be able to go out there and put that effort in and be able to get a couple of sacks out of that.
Curious what it does when a lot of times it's the guys off the edge that kind of get more of the glory and get the sacks and stuff like that. But what does it mean when you can get a little more production in those regards from the guys in the middle?
I think it's big because like you said, it's harder on the inside, generally speaking, to get that kind of production, those kind of sacks. So for David to be able to step up for us and us to get the production on the edges out of Sam and Jabril as well, and for David to come in there and get his sacks as well is good. And I'm hoping this week I can join him a little bit in that backfield.
With Utah State, I know that offense put you guys in a lot of short fields and things like that last year, but they did score most points that a Boise State team's given up in several years. What he's kind of looking for revenge on Saturday. Was that a game that kind of still leaves a bad taste in your mouth the way that went down in Logan last year?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think we have a point to prove this week, and I know I've got a chip on my shoulder after that game and after last week as well. And I think it's time to set it straight.
What was that game like? It just seemed like, especially late in the first half, boom, 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 and all of a sudden you guys are down, 30 points or whatever. How crazy was that game? It seemed like every bounce, every ball went their way.
It's a sickening feeling, to be honest with you. You feel like you're on the outside looking in, and we're not trying to do that this year at all. We're trying to go out and handle our business completely differently and come out with a W.
What was it like going into the locker room and seeing, they rushed the field? It seemed like one of the biggest wins in program history. What is it like to watch that as you're walking off the field?
Yeah, it's not exciting. It's not interesting at all. It's one of the things that you don't want to forget about. You want to have it in the back of your mind, but you kind of want to forget about it at the same time. You kind of store it in the back of your mind, try and go over it as soon as you can. But to be honest with you, the memory is still fresh even a year on.
Coach Harsin,
how do you temper, kind of wanting to exact a bit of revenge, but not letting that take over too much, but still having that be a motivational factor? How much do you guys do you think about that during the week?
You definitely think about it during the week, not in the game as much, because in order to be successful, you have to buy into the game plan. You can't complicate things and make it too emotional. You have to be motivated by what's happened in the past, but you have to stick to the game plan and not try and do anything too much extra. Just do your job.
Coach Harsin was saying you probably won't have to say too much about that game. You guys just know. Is that kind of it?
We know. Everyone else knows.
What does stand about them this year? It seems like obviously you're gonna have to work it out for you against the run. It seems like they've been able to run pretty well this year.
Yeah, that's something we definitely have to work on. I think this week, and I'm sure we will. We'll have a good game plan in place to help stop the run.
What's impressed you most about the start of the season that Jabril's had?
I think he showed up from the start. There's not been any kind of lulls, and it wasn't a kind of warm-up games at all for him. He's come straight in and been productive from the get-go.
How big is trying to create turnovers on defense? I mean, the two you have both been touchdowns, obviously huge plays, but otherwise haven't had any. I mean, is that a big deal trying to get some more fumbles, more interceptions and stuff moving forward?
Definitely. That's the focus for us every single practice. Every time we go out there, our goal is to get at least 3 turnovers in practice. We want that to translate to the game. So I just think again, it's just something you have to work on.
Well, why do you think that is so far? Is it just that the plays haven't been there to make, or you guys are just barely missing them, or why do you think the number's down?
I think they've definitely been there. We just haven't capitalized on them. It just comes down to us. We can't blame anyone else. Can't blame the game plan. The opportunities have been there. We need to just seize them when they're there.
It's kind of crazy. You guys look at sacks, and right now in terms of sacks per games, you guys are tied for first in the country. And in the NFL last year, the way that it finished, the top 6 teams in sacks, not turnover margin or anything, were actually the teams that are like the top 6 teams in the NFL. So how do you think that stat particularly translates into success and wins?
Yeah, I think sacks to an extent almost count kind of like turnovers, because they can change momentum in a game and they can put the offense in kind of a bad position. So I think that's probably one that they look at the turnovers, see that we haven't got as many turnovers, but they probably do forget about the sacks. And sacks are huge and that's great, but we do still need to get those turnovers as well. If we can get sacks and turnovers, then we're really doing something special.